Research projects, a one-to-one classroom tool. Research projects can be short and long-term. Students also learn through inquiry and exploration, and when a student is given the power to create based on their own knowledge and skill level, the results can be amazing. Allowing students to do research projects gives them the opportunity to access tools for learning and pursue their passion. If you allow students to pick their own topics, they will be more engaged in the project and want to share their knowledge. Short-term research projects is an engagement strategy, and we're looking at the perplexity. Answer to these questions could be found through proper search terms and looking at the appropriate resources. You can establish conditions to support and encourage learning, allow students to collaborate and make connections with other students, add images to increase curiosity, and learn about credibility and verifying information. Long-term research projects, the engagement strategy is curiosity. It makes a distinction between search and research. Students are working independently for a longer period of time. It allows students to identify their own topics, and students can create their research questions and find answers. So I've given an example using 3 different grades, but using the same subject of science. And we'll see how we can look at short-term versus long-term research project. So for this lesson, it's a 5th grade science lesson, and we're looking at the topic human skeleton. The lesson is going to use images, questions, and online search topics to help students find the answer to the questions. You can increase the complexity of the lesson by adding multiple steps to find answers. So with the short-term project, we're looking at 1 to 2 days, and you can have the student find answers to these questions. For example, what's the function of the skeleton? How many bones make up the human skeleton? Can you label the parts of the skeleton? You can give them a worksheet and have them label the parts. In long term, we're looking at maybe a 1 month to 2 months project. For this, they're going to create their own human skeleton from materials they found maybe around the house. They're going to become a creative communicator. They're going to use the internet to collect data and research ideas. They're going to think about how the human skeleton works and functions. They know that bones are strong. They're going to think about how they're connected to one another. For the 10th grade biology class, long and short term is going to be a little different. The short-term project, for the topic of genetics, they're going to explore our genetic makeup. Questions that can be answered like, what are genes? What is DNA? They can even create a table of the top 10 most common genetic diseases of which they found in their internet research. A long-term project would be we're going a little bit more in depth in terms of genetic diseases. You can have them pick a genetic disease to research and discover why DNA may become mutated and cause disease. Increase the perplexity by adding research questions to be answered, and the student will report on the progress at the end of each week by posting to Google Docs. If you're working in higher education, short and long-term research project may be a little bit longer in terms of what is short and what is long. You're still continuing the ISTE standards for students that they've learned in K through 12. You're just promoting more digital learning and preparing them for the real world and become global leaders. So for a short-term project, this may deal with the topic of any one of your biology diseases. Well, let's look at autoimmune disease. You can have them look up what are autoimmune disease and create a table of 10 autoimmune diseases, their symptoms, and their treatment. It's a little bit more in depth than the high school level. Long term would be you have them pick one autoimmune disease to research. You will have them look at the relationship between autoimmune diseases and the natural environment maybe, and then compare and contrast maybe to another autoimmune disease and see if there's any similarities in the cause of the diseases. So all of these lessons were examples of how you can make short and long-term research projects for your students to increase engagement within the classroom.